Hello, I'm Peter Vaughan and today I'm looking at the very latest from Bürstner, the new Delfin range. Well, this is a T736 Delfin, one of three models in the range. There's also a single bed model and a slightly shorter 7-metre one with a rear garage and rear washroom, the very trendy layout of the moment. But this is the island bed version, as I say, 7.41 metres long and of course based on a Fiat Ducato. And that's the new thing about Delfin. The Delfin name actually goes back more than 17 years. 2003, the first Delfin made a bit of a splash on the motorhome scene. It was based on a Renault Master. Now on the continent, if you buy this latest Delfin, it's based on a Citroën. This one, however, for the UK is based on a Fiat Ducato, as you'd probably expect. So unlike the Citroën, you have got an automatic option, and this is a typical 3.5 tonne 7.5 metre motorhome, very popular style. Where it does hark back to the original Delfin is with the colour scheme: silver cab, white body, and then the blue skirts and wheel arches, which give it a very distinctive feel. Very distinctive, and also of course like the original Delfin. But if blue's not your colour, you can have your Delfin with mocha instead of the blue. Mocha, of course, posh word for brown. This particular example does have a few options on it. One of those is the multimedia system with sat-nav and the reversing camera, and they all display on an 8-inch screen in the cab. It's also got the roll-out awning and an upgrade from the standard 120 bhp engine up to 140 bhp with the Eco Pack, which gives you stop and start. 140 bhp seems about the right power unit for a motorhome that's not too expensive. £700 that option, so it's not a big deal. Whereas if you go up to the 160 bhp or even 178 bhp engines, which are available, but those units are considerably more expensive, and the standard 120 bhp unit might seem a little bit gutless, maybe a little bit underpowered if you really want to take your travelling and touring seriously. Now, if that's the case and you want to load up for a big tour, this is where you're going to keep all your outdoor chairs, your table, your barbecue and all that sort of thing. It's not a full-size garage as such, because headroom in here is about 0.85 of a metre, but it does go right the way across the vehicle. You've got a light, main socket, tie-down points, all that sort of thing in here. Good amount of storage. It would be nice to have a second loading door on the other side, and that is available as an option, as is the ability to have an adjustable bed and garage height. That too is an optional extra. Now in the UK, we like our motorhomes to be well equipped, so we only get the Delfin here in Harmony Line trim, not the standard model that they sell in Germany. Despite that, this vehicle starts at 59,995, so that's £8,000 less than the equivalent version, the equivalent layout in a Lissio TD Harmony Line, which is Bürstner's well-established low-profile motorhome. You get the alloy wheels as standard, and the cab comes pretty fully equipped too, with air conditioning, cruise control, traction control, electric mirrors, all that sort of thing. You get the leather steering wheel and the chrome-ringed instruments as well. On the road, I found it quite a pleasant vehicle to drive, with a surprising lack of rattles from the living area. It does give you a reassurance that Bürstner have got their build quality right. There are no surprises when it comes to the layout. This is typical 2021 fixed bed motorhome. So you've got side settees at the front, gives it a nice open feel at the front of the vehicle, especially because you've got this overcab sunroof as standard. And also in this particular model, the drop down bed is an option. So when you haven't got that, as here, There's a terrific amount of headroom. I think it's over 2.1 metres of headroom in the lounge. That gives it a fantastically spacious feel, even though the roof light over the lounge is actually quite a small one. It is a clear one, but it is quite small. Cab seats swivel around easily, and it does have a nice feeling of space. Upholstery, there is an alternative to this. To go with the mocha exterior, you can have a mocha fabric. Still has this sort of faux leather at the sides and on the armrests on the cab seats and so on, but changes this hint of blue for a slightly brown finish. Only one choice with the furniture. It's called Riva Loft, and it comes with these gloss white upper locker doors, but that's the only option when you come to the Delfin range. Lounge area becomes a very generous dining area with this unfolding table, and that really does feel very dramatically solid. You could have a dance on there, I think, without it wilting, unlike some of them that the moment you get a laptop out they go all wobbly. So that's a good feature. Not quite so good is the fact that as you step down from the cab into the lounge, these settees do feel a tad high. Now they're just about okay for me. I'm about 5'10", but anybody shorter or shorter in the leg is not going to find these terribly comfortable when they're sitting like this. And I have to say, maybe if the lounge floor was extended through, or if these settees were just a tad lower, it would seem more comfortable for relaxing. They're ideal for when you're sitting at the table dining, but a little bit high, a little bit upright for more relaxing fare. But if that's what you're going to do, swivel the seats around, put your feet up, telly goes on the bracket by the door, and it works quite well like that. Whichever upholstery you choose, you get these little dolphin symbols which are quite neatly stitched into the backrests. Continues the dolphin theme, which is also in the graphics on the outside and even on the headboard in the bedroom. Other than that, lighting's pretty good. You've got these spotlights in the ceiling and under the top lockers, but there's no reading lights in the cab, which I would have liked. The feature I really do like, though, is these Vario blinds. Very neat, give you a bit of extra privacy whilst also retaining some daylight. Just adjust them as you wish. And you also, of course, get the normal cassette blinds behind them. Now, although this is just a 2-berth motorhome as standard, you can, of course, have that drop-down double bed, and there's a further option to make the lounge area into bed, so you have got up to 5 berths. But 2 berths are standard, but even in standard form you still get 4 travel seats. So the settees have to convert for travel. Remove the backrests, take off the base cushions, keep this one for later. There is a steel frame under there, but not at the front, just around the back of the seat. And then you may have spotted these when I showed the garage earlier. You have these slot-in backrests, one for each side. A catch just to screw in and make sure they're firmly fitted. A special backrest cushion for the travel seat as well. Just slots in with a bit of Velcro. And then cushion on there. And actually you've got quite a decent amount of legroom here. You've also, on the off side, you've got a sliding window, so you can even get a bit of ventilation while you travel. I like that, because that is quite a rare feature in coach-built motorhomes. So for occasional rear passengers, yeah, works quite well. Again, there are no surprises in the kitchen, although it is quite a compact unit. It faces the lounge area to keep this very open plan feel in the front half of the vehicle. And you've got 3 burner hob, as you'd expect, loose cover over the sink. This rather strange little plastic shelf, just room for a couple of coffee cups on there when you're serving up, perhaps, but can't help feeling that looks a bit plasticky and a bit of an afterthought. German vans, they all seem to be obsessed with these holders for your coffee capsules, but on this van you've got no bespoke storage for your espresso machine, so just storage for your capsules. Don't know about that. Storage in the kitchen in itself, where you've got one soft close drawer which is all fitted out for your cutlery and utensils. Then on this side, under the hob, you've got a large cupboard that goes back right the way back to the wall, and it's the deepest part of the unit, so that's quite a good size cupboard. And you've got a kitchen roll holder on the inside of the door. A couple of main sockets on the end of the unit, but of course they're going to be of limited use when you're actually using the hob, because, well, where are you going to put your kettle or whatever? Unusually, there's no extension panel or anything to extend the worktop, just this little plastic thing here. But you have got, of course, the very large table close by. You've also got an oven set down at floor level. It's probably more convenient than having it right up high above the fridge freezer, certainly safer to use. But there's no grill here, it is just an oven, and it is also rather small. You won't be getting your family size pizza in there. If the oven definitely wears an S in its clothes, well, the fridge is probably at least an L, if not an XL. It's 142 litres, one of these tall, slim units. Automatic energy selection, of course, so it decides for itself whether to operate from 12 volt, 230 volt or gas. Very convenient. You've got your TV bracket, as I mentioned there, and some useful shelves in the door area as well. Of course, power sockets, 12 volt and 230 volt for the telly there. And quite a nice display for the control panel, heating display up there as well. The other thing I should have mentioned earlier perhaps is you've got an extra wide habitation door. When you're coming on board, perhaps carrying bedding or boxes of stuff, that is very useful, particularly, as I say, particularly when you're loading up. It does make the vehicle feel more spacious as you're coming in too, that you're not going squeezing through a narrow doorway. The door is also linked to the vehicle's central locking, remote control central locking. Big window with a blind on it. You've got fly screen on there as well. And the entrance, the actual step, there's no external step, just the internal step. It's a nice low entrance into the vehicle too, so there's no sort of real clambering on board that you get with some motorhomes. And how about this for a little detail? Up above the door, you've got a magnet board where you can attach your shopping list, little reminders. Oh, quite a nice little touch, that. You step up slightly into the washroom and then the bedroom beyond. And the ensuite is pretty much as you'd expect, again, in this type of motorhome. Shower on one side, toilet area on the other, floor to ceiling mirror on the toilet door, which is quite handy. The shower itself is good size, roof vent above both areas, separate roof vents, neat little shelf for your shampoo and so on in the shower area, and good sized drain holes, two of them diagonally opposite. Slight step in the shower tray, but because it's back towards the wall doesn't really matter. So decent marks for the shower. Then on the other side, the toilet area. Toilet itself is on a very slight plinth, but not enough to really notice. There's a decent amount of worktop around the basin, a decent amount of storage in there, and there's even enough shoulder and leg room to sit in there when the door is shut, rather than opened out to shut off the back of the van. Of course, not only can you shut off the toilet area from the front of the vehicle, but a sliding door comes across to give you privacy from the bedroom area as well. So if there is somebody using a bed, if you've gone for one of the bed options at the front, then they can use the shower or toilet privately from anybody that might still be in bed at the back. The island bedroom is pretty much what you'd expect too. There's plenty of room around the foot of the bed like this, but then the bed like this is only 1.8 metres long. That's just under about an inch under 6 foot. It's 1.47 metres wide, so not the widest, but better than some. If you want a longer bed, as you may well do, simply slide the mattress out a little, drop this extra cushion in place, and now your bed is 1.9 metres long, and you've still got just enough room to get round the foot of the bed. It is slightly curved at the end, so be aware of that if you're both very tall in particular. You've got the usual his and hers wardrobes on either side. Plenty of room in this one to sit up in bed, that's great. Got this rather nice padded leatherette headboard too, with again the little dolphin on it. TV bracket at the foot of the bed on the near side with all the usual sockets that you'll need. But the best thing perhaps about this bedroom is you've got these big picture windows on either side. So if you fancy being lazy and sitting in bed having your breakfast, reading the morning papers, well, you can open the full blinds, just have these vario blinds down, let lots of light into the area, but still retain your privacy. One of the key differences between the Delfin and the Liscio is, of course, that you don't get a double floor. But back in the bedroom area, there is just this little tiny bit of underfloor storage, just room for a few pairs of shoes. And while most of the storage underneath the bed is accessed from outside, as I showed you earlier, you can flip over the end of the mattress and there's a little bit of storage under here. Not only that, but you've got a trapdoor that lifts up for maintenance to the water pump and your fresh water tank. So the Bürstner Delfin T736, a 7.5 metre or just under island bed motorhome that joins perhaps one of the most crowded sectors of the motorhome market. So there's plenty of competition for a vehicle like this. On this one, well, it does look very smart, doesn't it? The colour scheme, I think a lot of people will like, the alloy wheels, the flush fit windows and so on. You do have to pay extra for things like the awning, a solar panel and a few other things that one or two of the manufacturers are now putting in as standard. But a lot of the decision will probably come down to whether you like the styling inside and out. Downsides, well, I don't like that tiny oven, even though it is more conveniently placed than stuck right up high. And the seats in the lounge area seem a bit high for me. In the end, perhaps I'll just let the ducks decide. Thank you for watching, hope you enjoyed the video. More motorhome reviews coming along soon, but don't forget to like and subscribe.